And so then our book talks to us about these 5 business issues that we need to be looking out for whenever we are thinking about writing a good contract. And then we have control issues, because where there is risk, then you want to find a way to control that. And so that is the way that we diminish the, as much as we can, any risk that may come about. All right. And then also, now, we have our end game. And then there's always an end. You know, everything in life, you know, all good things have to come to an end at some time. And determining how it comes out is determined on the work that the attorney is going to do in drafting that agreement. Either it's going to be good or it's going to turn out to be horribly bad. And so what we want to do is we want to craft an agreement that's going to end well, which means that there's not going to have to be a lawsuit. The money that was supposed to be paid is paid. There is no loss of money now as a result of the end game. Nobody has to file lawsuits because when you file lawsuits, that's money. That's money that's coming away from what we thought would have been paid or would have been received. And so we want to look down the road and look at all of the different things that could happen that could cause the contract to end badly. And we want to come into the agreement and add value to that deal by being able to forecast that for the client. And so here I want to look at this example.
We are inside State Superior Court. This is Chris Canning reporting for Wolfpack Reality TV. This dispute has been going on for 2 years now, and the parties have been waiting for their day in court. Because there are so many cases that are tied up in litigation, the usual delay is 2 years. The parties met face to face and tried to mitigate the dispute. They could not agree. So we begin here today in court, where we have selected the 12 members of the jury. The plaintiff is seeking money. He claims half the business and the business profits as the sole heir to his dead wife, who is a 50% business partner in the business with the defendant. The defendant owns a now very successful business known as The Island. The defendant says that his partner never intended for her spouse to destroy the business. We now enter the courtroom as the bailiff opens the proceedings.
All rise. Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay. The District Court for the County of Wolfpack is now open for the regular dispatch of business. The Honorable Carol Marshall, now present and presiding, draw near and be attended.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Any motions from the defendant?
No, Your Honor.
Any motions from the plaintiff?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. You may begin.
The plaintiff calls Skipper Dyson to the stand.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. You solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you.
Sure.
You may sit in the witness chair.
State your name for the record, please.
Skipper Dyson.
How do you know the defendant?
He's my dead wife's business partner for the past 5 years.
What brings you to court today?
Well, after my wife died, I went to this man and asked him for half the money. You see, when my wife and him started the business, the past 4.5 years, they haven't really done that well. But the past 6 months, they've done really well, and I want half the money.
What happened when he asked for accounting of the profits?
Well, Andy said that I was sleazy and that I wasn't going to get a dime of his money. He said I was a sleazy spouse.
Permission to approach the witness? Mr. Dyson, this is a previously marked document. Do you know what it is?
Yeah,
What is it?
it's a copy of my wife and I's marriage certificate.
Okay. We would like to have this received into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit Number 1.
The document will be admitted into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1.
Your Honor, that's all the questions at this time.
Defendant, the witness is with you.
Skipper, what do you do for a living?
Now?
Yes. Now.
Well, I plan to live off my wife's money.
What did you do before you met your wife?
Do I have to answer that?
Yes, you do.
Well, in the summertime, I cleaned swimming pools. And in the winter, I did a lot of favors for single women.
How long did you know your wife before you got married?
Full week.
That's pretty quick, isn't it?
Not really, if you're good.
If you're good at what exactly?
I'm good in the romance department, if you know what I mean.
How long have you been married before your wife died?
We got married at 5 o'clock on that Saturday. And then we all went to the bar later for drinks and a party. You see, I was supposed to be in the Mr. Muscle show at Myrtle Beach the next day. See, I work out.
What education and training do you have?
I made it all the way through the 8th grade, thinking about getting my GED. I have really no special skills, but I'm good at what I do.
When exactly did you leave for Myrtle Beach?
We left at 9 o'clock that night. Got in the accident probably about 9:15. And at 9:30, my wife was dead.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Plaintiff, you may cross-examine.
Mr. Dyson, did your wife have a will?
No.
Did your wife have a partnership agreement?
What is that?
Never mind. Did she have any type of insurance?
Well, she had $5,000 in auto insurance.
Did she have any life insurance?
No.
No further questions.
No reiterate, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Dyson, you may sit down. Defendant, call your first witness.
We call Andy Whitmore.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the whole truth?
I swear.
You may sit in the witness chair.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Andy Whitmore.
How do you know the defendant, Skipper Dyson?
I don't know him very well. He met my business partner Paula at a party on Saturday. They went out a couple times that week. On Thursday, they got engaged. That Saturday, they were married at 5 o'clock.
Were they going on their honeymoon?
Not right away. She had to pay $500 for him to get into his muscle competition in Myrtle Beach. So after the wedding, they left at 9 o'clock. They got in their accident, and at 9:30, they announced that she was dead.
What was the name of the business that you and Paula had together?
So you know, we have to turn this partnership agreement in 2 days. I have no clue. You got any ideas?
It's definitely not going to be a landscaping business. Dr. Campbell wants something new and creative that satisfies a niche in the marketplace.
God, I had no clue. And of course he'd want something new and creative. I've been at the mall shopping all day with my mom. I hate that place. I hate to shop.
That's it. That's our business.
Our business?
There's a need in the marketplace.
A need in the marketplace?
Yeah, we could have a business at the mall. People could check their email like an internet cafe, or watch the big game, or play video games, or even get a massage.
That would have been nice. I would have been in there all day. I like it.
We could call it the Island. It would be like an oasis for people that hate shopping centers.
I like it. I think we should do it.
Okay.
Cool. Paula named it. It was the island.
Did you make any money?
Not really. It was really slow getting it started. We had 5 locations. You know, we replaced the computers every year. The flat screen TVs, we had 60-inch plasmas. They were really nice, but they were also very, very expensive.
Did you break even?
Towards the end, we were starting to break even. We got really lucky. We had someone approach us about kind of a joint venture. They wanted us to open 37 more stores. At the time, we had 5 in North Carolina. They gave us a hefty down payment to go start some new stores. So we spent all that money opening up new stores, and we were starting to break even.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination by the plaintiff.
Mr. Whitmore, did Skipper Dyson, the plaintiff, come to see you?
Yes, he did. He waited 1 day. He came the day after her funeral. He asked to see the books and for half the money.
Did you share any financial information with the plaintiff?
No, I did not. He didn't deserve it. He just showed up, asked for the money. He didn't do anything. He didn't deserve the money for doing nothing.
No further questions.
That will be evidence for the defendant.
You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is time for closing arguments. I admonish you that these arguments are not evidence. They are only the opinions of the attorneys. In your deliberations, you will only consider the evidence received in this courtroom. Plaintiff, as the moving party, you decide to go first or last. What is your choice?
We will defer our closing arguments, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Defendant, time for your closing address to the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the evidence. This man is nothing but a scoundrel and a cheat and a lie. He's a gentleman of the night. He preyed on a lonely, rich woman. He married her and struck the jackpot. She died 4 hours later. So now he wants half of her business. He doesn't deserve it. He's not a businessman. It's her partner that deserves every penny of what happened. It'd be injustice if you gave him a dime. Paula Warren would be turning over her grave if you did so.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today you all have heard the insurance agent saying how hard Paula worked for her money. You also heard that she was in business law class, which means she knew about business life insurance, and she chose not to get it. If she wanted the insurance, her and Andy would have purchased it. Her spouse, Skipper Dyson, is entitled to half of the money. That's the simple truth.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard all of the evidence. It is now time for your deliberations. The first thing you should do when you get to the jury room is elect a foreperson who will guide your deliberations. You may now exit to the jury room.
In addition to, like, this is like the ultimate endgame issue, what issue is presented here? What other issue could be presented here? Yeah.
Public control. Right?
Okay, but when you have control, what are you always going to have? Risk. Because the reason that you have control is because you want to control to minimize that risk. And how could he have minimized the risk?
By having standards.
Oh, that's one way. But we talked earlier, and we talked about that M word. No. Say it again. Say. Mitigating. How could they have mitigated that risk by having what?
Create a will.
Okay. Okay. Well. the business guy, he goes and he gets into a agreement, I guess not ever thinking that his partner would get married or that she would die. These are in-game issues. Nobody could, I guess they didn't think about it. If I have a business and if the person is married, then if you're in a community property state, any property that belongs to that person, 50% of that property is going to belong to the spouse. So if I'm going to get into an agreement with them, I'm going to need to have some type of a drill down standard issue because there's risk there. There's a risk that anything that I'm gaining with this person in our business, half of that does not belong to me. It's a potential that it's probably going to end up the property of her husband if she gets married or if she dies. So then don't you want to have some type of a drill down standard in that agreement that's going to deal with controlling that risk in some kind of way? In the event that one of us dies, blah, 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 blah is going to happen. Okay? These are the types of things that would need to be discussed in the negotiations of these two people before they get into that partnership that it didn't have a partnership agreement. That all these are problems of people who not thinking that they needed an agreement, need a written agreement. None of this, and see, he ends up in court being sued and dealing with a risk issue that we talked about earlier when we talked about liability risk. Here it is playing itself out here.